Oh, Lay's. Brings back so many good memories.
America loves chips. So, what went wrong? Here are 10 chips that failed in the United States. Planters potato chips.
Luckily, I'm a botanist.
Yep, those folks. The peanut people. Believe it or not, Planters, the brand most famously associated with not only peanuts but many other nuts, once delved into the world of potato chips. Taking a bite out of the most famous ridged variety of chips, Ruffles, Planters introduced their version of the salty classic complete with ridges. This was likely accompanied by snack lovers' confusion and curiosity. Perhaps to ingratiate themselves that much more upon the potato chip community, Planters went one step further and packaged their brand of chips in a Pringles-inspired tube. The nut brand even challenged Pringles with a series of taste test ads that ran in the 1970s. A pretty bold move for a company launching their first foray into the world of the potato chip. This isn't the first time the famous nut brand ventured away from their signature snack. Planters has experimented with cheese balls, which were met with a positive reception. Unfortunately for Planters, their version of the potato chip simply failed to catch on, despite the brand's modest success with other non-nut snacks. Maybe if the company had created a Mr. Potato Chip, much as they did with their original mascot, Mr. Peanut, Planters potato chips would have become a staple household snack instead of a distant memory. Pringles cinnamon and sugar potato chips.
Did you eat my Cinnabon?
No.
Sweet and salty together at last, right?
Yes.
Except that particular combination isn't always a hit. Of course, we're all familiar with snacks like chocolate-covered pretzels and honey-roasted peanuts, which are classics that have stood the test of time. However, when it comes to potato chips, sweet isn't the first flavor that makes the mouths of chip lovers water. Well, that fact didn't stop the creative minds at Pringles, who took it upon themselves to gift the chip-loving world with a peculiar flavor of cinnamon and sugar. Yes, cinnamon sugar is a tasty combo beloved by many. A sprinkle of the sweet combo on buttered toast, a dusting on a piping hot batch of oatmeal, and who can resist that classic breakfast cereal, Cinnamon Toast Crunch? But the deliciously sweet flavor coating on a savory potato chip just didn't sit well with snackers in the US. Ultimately, the creative yet risky attempt to mix up the established norm of chip flavors just didn't pay off in the end. It seems that cinnamon sugar should perhaps stay as far away from a chip as possible going forward. However, if you fancy yourself an adventurous chip enthusiast, these sweet Pringles are still available in Canada. Lay's Wavy Milk Chocolate Covered Potato Chips.
I was thinking we'd make some cookies. Chocolate chip?
This is another chip that adopted the sweet meets savory theme, and the good folks over at Lay's are to thank, or depending how you look at it, to blame for this odd combo. What's better than a golden brown chip? Why, dunking that very same chip in rich and sweet milk chocolate, of course. Chocolate-covered Lay's potato chips burst onto the scene and shocked chip fans, as a sweet and savory snack treat is not exactly easy to get right. Just ask Pringles. Definitely not your average chip flavor. Lay's chocolate-covered chip, complete with waves, first appeared on supermarket and convenience store shelves in the early 2010s. While there's just something off-putting about a chocolate-covered potato chip, the chip is surprisingly good. Fans of the chip have compared it to a chocolate wafer with almost no trace of potato. Despite the chocolate-covered chip's unexpected good taste, it simply failed to catch on. Maybe the image of a crispy golden potato chip coated in milk chocolate was just something chip fans weren't ready for. At any rate, the chocolate-covered potato chip was a bold attempt by Lay's to try something new. A for effort, but in the end, a fail. Still, you can't help but admire the brand for thinking outside the box. First time here? Then become an official BabbleTopper by hitting that subscribe button. Thanks. Lay's Wavy Fried Green Tomato Chips.
Don't open the potato chips until you pay for them.
You're gonna have to tell me that all the time.
Remember that Kathy Bates classic from the early 90s, Fried Green Tomatoes? If so, you'll remember that the film had little to do with the dish, but may have inspired mega chip brand Lay's to create a chip in the film's honor. Okay, that scenario's not the most likely. What's more likely is the chip brand wished to bring the classic dish's flavor to their famous crispy potato chips. The flavor has been described as having a crispy brown batter flavor that is accompanied by an acidic tomato taste, and they're incredibly good. Unfortunately, these chips didn't capture the imagination the same way the novel and the film that bears the same name did. If you must get your hands on a bag of these tasty yet rare wonders, be prepared to shell out over $100 on eBay. Whether a chip is worth that much, regardless of how amazing it may taste, is entirely up to you. In any case, it seems that the Lay's Wavy line of chips just wasn't complete without some kind of unusual flavor to get people talking. Cheetos Crunchy Salsa con Queso.
Crunchy. Salty.
Mexican food is delicious. Most would tend to agree with that statement. So, naturally, snack food brands have dabbled in Mexican flavors for years. Doritos, for example, is a brand based entirely on Mexican-themed snacks with flavors inspired by the cuisine south of the border. Other brands have also adapted Mexican flavors to varying degrees of success. One brand that strayed from their established formula and donned the proverbial sombrero was Cheetos, and their Salsa con Queso flavor. Yes, the Cheetos culinary scientists decided to introduce the zesty, cheesy goodness to their classic cheesy Cheetos crunch. Not surprisingly, the new flavor was a hit with most fans. However, the Salsa con Queso Cheetos soon disappeared from store shelves, with many fans voicing their disappointment. The Mexican-inspired Cheetos did make a brief comeback in the form of a limited-time run. The snack was available at select locations during the summer of 2020, which was a pleasant surprise and a much-needed bright spot during an unforgettable and difficult period of time for many. Lay's Southern Biscuits and Gravy Chips.
Where's my potato chips?
You have to hand it to the creative minds up at Lay's for letting their fans have a little flavor fun. Coming up with a contest called Do Us a Flavor, Lay's dared its fans to choose from 4 new possible flavors. And in the end, it was the Southern-inspired biscuits and gravy that the fans chose for the win. There's nothing quite like a good old batch of biscuits and gravy served up for dinner or even a hearty breakfast. And adding those distinct flavors to a bag of crispy Lay's seems like a win-win in anybody's books. Well, apparently not so much. Though voted the winner by the fans, the flavor didn't seem to catch on. Perhaps the idea of the taste of freshly baked biscuits and gravy infused into a potato chip sounded better than it actually tasted. It's worth noting that the flavors left on the drawing board were not only innovative, but also sounded pretty tasty in their own right. Kettle-cooked Greektown gyro, New York Reuben, and West Coast truffle fries. Perhaps the aforementioned flavors may have fared better than the Southern staple, which faded off into the sunset. Joey chips.
Joey doesn't share food!
Okay, we know people love a good corn chip, crispy, slightly sweet, delicious. And who doesn't love a nice crispy potato chip? So why not see what happens if we combine the two? This is the conversation that must have taken place at General Mills when they decided to create this interesting combo. Joey chips were a hybrid snack, 50% potato chip, 50% corn chip, and unfortunately a 100% lack of interest from snack fans, as the chip never really caught the imagination or appetite of chip lovers. There have been other companies who have experimented with a hybrid chip to much success, such as Crisper's cracker chips. However, Joey chips just wasn't the snack people were searching for back in the late 1960s, and the trademark eventually expired in the early 90s. General Mills has had success with other corn-based snacks, such as Bugles, which remain popular to this day. The mistake seems to have been venturing into the world of the potato. Better leave that chip business to the other guys. Keebler Munch Ems.
Come on. It's right there.
Keebler's been pumping out snack treats for both the sweet and salty variety for well over 100 years. From their Coconut Dream cookies and fudge stripes to their Pizzeria pizza chips, which are no longer available, Keebler knows a thing or two about snacks. So when the snack brand decided to experiment with their own version of a hybrid snack, it seemed like a recipe for success. Keebler introduced Munch Ems to the already overcrowded snack market. Much like the popular Crispers snack, Munch Ems were part cracker and part chip and came in an assortment of flavors such as cheddar, ranch, and onion. Unfortunately, the cracker chip was not long for this world, as Munch Ems never really caught on in the US, though the snack does continue to have a devoted fan base. This isn't the only chip-related failure the Keebler folks experienced. Along with the aforementioned pizzerias, line of baked potato chips, Oh Boysies, failed to catch on with chip lovers in the US. Well, at least we know those Keebler elves don't give up and keep going back to the drawing board. Wow chips.
What happened to potato chips in the last 7 years?
Oh, they made them healthy.
One of the problems most snack lovers face is the inevitable health concerns that come with overindulging in the sweeter, salty good stuff. However, never missing an opportunity to keep their devoted clientele, many snack brands have taken it upon themselves to offer up a variety of healthier versions of their popular snacks. Ah yes, the healthy or low-fat snack treat was a trend that snack brands couldn't help but adopt for fear of losing their devoted customers, while trying to keep those customers healthy, so to speak. One example of this trend was Lay's Wow brand. Wow was a fat-free alternative to their established staple of salty snacks. Running across all their brands, including Doritos, Ruffles, and Tostitos, Wow used an ingredient called Olestra, which is a fat substitute containing 0 calories. And the new line of healthier snacks were initially very successful. However, the very ingredient that made the snacks fat-free would ultimately be responsible for the disappearance of the Wow line. You see, the aforementioned fat substitute Olestra also had the unforeseen and unfortunate side effect of acting as a laxative. Needless to say, the complaints from customers began to flow almost as fast as, well, you get the picture. And that was the end of the Wow line. When it comes to a choice between running from calories and running to the toilet, most will take their chances with the excess calories. Guacamole Doritos.
I'm just chilling with the guac from my chip hat.
Seeing as how Doritos are a Mexican-themed snack, it makes sense that the popular tortilla chip would come in a variety of flavors inspired by classic south-of-the-border cuisine. Surprisingly, this hasn't been the case, with flavors such as Cool Ranch, Zesty Cheese, and even Flaming or Spicy Nacho comprising the majority of the brand's flavor catalog. This all changed when Doritos released their guacamole flavor. While some would argue that the new flavor didn't exactly taste like a fresh batch of rich guacamole, the chips were nevertheless pretty tasty. Unfortunately, Guacamole Doritos' unique taste and appropriate Mexican-themed ingredients weren't enough to win the hearts of the majority of Doritos fans, as this chip never caught fire in the US. Another reason Guacamole Doritos didn't last too long on the shelves was because Doritos' parent company, Frito-Lay, stated that some flavors must be discontinued to make room for new flavors. Combine that with lower than expected sales, and it was bye-bye Guacamole Doritos, we hardly knew ya. The popular brand has since offered more Mexican-themed flavors such as Salsa Verde and Tapatio Salsa Picante, but it was the Guacamole Doritos that has the distinction of being one of the first. Get a taste of more great videos. Just tap or click, and leave us a comment, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell.